So I'm here today in the Promenade Gardens with a group of nurses, batch 143, you said?
24.
124, A and B, which should be Kingston and the East Street branches. Now, it's been very topical. It's been in the media that the nursing exam was potentially compromised, and all these guys are now in limbo for a number of months. But trying to get to the bottom of this story, we've all met up here so these guys can avail me of the situation and you guys at home. So who would like to start the ball rolling on what's actually happened and where you are now?
I might just say everything so somebody else going. Alright, well this incident all started on November, I think it was the 11th of November, when a meeting was called for the students to attend the Jordan School of Nursing, where a letter read saying that the paper was compromised and we would have to receive the exam by the end of the month. The end of the month being by the end of November.
And we're now in January 2017.
Yes, we're now in January. Due to this, a lot of questions was asked with no satisfactory answer given. Our principal tutor told us that she would take our suggestions and our questions back to the council to give us a feedback on what really transpired, when and how this paper was compromised. Over time, we got no response. We decided to seek out the minister. We decided to get organized and try to find some amount of answer to what transpired. Now, the meeting with the minister then decided to call the principal tutor and the fellow members of the council to ask them the question of when and how was the paper compromised since he was not informed. During this meeting, the minister himself was not given a satisfactory answer. So he decided to launch an investigation to find out where the compromise took place, when and how. During the entire process, it was found that a few students, I think namely 5 or 6 students, and some amount of council members were involved in the paper compromise. Since prior to that, we haven't heard any conclusion or any word back on the status of the investigation, if it has concluded, what is the result, and what the next plan of action is to be. We are simply here today asking that they simply release the results or use alternative grading. Now, we the students have faced a lot of battles throughout the 3 years of our training program. From fighting for our Jordan School of Nursing building at East Street, where we had to protest in front of the Ministry of Health, to our colleague being terminated for our grades, which was accepted prior to training. All of this has caused a lot of emotional distress on the nurses. We are not in a fixed proper emotional state to work because we have to give care. A lot of us are depressed, stressed out, worried about what the outcome of the situation will be. It has been 2 months. We've been patient. We've did our part. We have take a very professional approach towards the situation, but so far it's deemed unsatisfactory. We are not given any level of insight, any level of explanation, any level of, for lack of a better word, information on what is really going on with our results. Even if the paper had been compromised, the students caught were at fault, as well as the persons from the nursing council. So I believe it's safe to say that this situation has been isolated to the ones involved in the compromise. So why is it that every student or every aspect of the general public or every person within the nursing profession have to pay the penalty for what few has done? And it just doesn't make it is that logical. It makes no sense. All in all, as I said before, we've waited patiently enough. We are done 3 years, 8 months into our training. We have spent 8 months 8 months extra. We would like to get our results as soon as possible and move on. Boost the nursing industry, boost the health system, allow these nurses to be able to give care, because this is what we are here for. Even though our knowledge base might be questioned, we still are capable enough to give sufficient care. And a lot of us, most of us, were not involved in a compromise. The persons who were involved were already isolated and dealt with accordingly.
So you want to know why Peter has to pay for Paul?
Exactly.
Any comment? You want to give a comment on your experiences here, or how this may be affecting you guys financially? Because you're saying that the stipend a month is $16,000. I don't know how you can live on that in a month. You're saying as well that some of you have children and the like. So this here is actually preventing you from earning a full salary, if I'm not wrong?
Indeed it is. Because we are on stipend 3 years, 6 months now. We are all adults. We all have responsibilities. We have people depending on us. We cannot afford to be waiting for a pending investigation to get our lives back on track. We have waited long enough. We've given them sufficient amount of time. We've dealt with this issue in a very professional manner. But honestly, it's becoming so frustrating. It's becoming so aggravating. We just simply want results as soon as possible. We know there's been a change in administration with the current ministry, but however, she needs to come up to speed as soon as possible, be involved, and I don't want to say push, but at least seek out a resolution.
No, say push. We need to push for things in this country.
Push for a resolution to this issue as soon as possible. Because as I said very clearly, the issue has been isolated. It's affecting us financially. We are not able to meet. After our 3 years training program had concluded, the principal tutor saw that it wasn't necessary for us to be practicing on the ward, receiving the small amount of stipend that we do, and when we can be using the time to study and prepare for exam in October. So she petitioned for us to remain home until the exam date. But this was not allowed since the junior minister believed that it would hinder us in the upcoming exam and we'll probably lose our touches during this period while we're at home. So
studying.
While we're at home studying. So we were not able, we remained on the ward, we worked up until the October of last year. After we have completed our exam, we were unsure what steps to take and where exactly to go, because we have completed 3 years, 6 months of our training program. We spent 6 additional months, and now we have to wait an additional 3 months for pending results after October, which will take us into 3 years, 9 months. So a lot of the students decided that, we are not sure if we should be here or if we should not. And that's about it.
So have they tried to penalize you for this?
Yes. One of my colleagues was being penalized, and she is right here. She can give some insight to that.
So you want to explain what happened then?
Well, I returned to work. I went to work yesterday, and one of the sisters told me that I have to go to a brother to find out where I will be working. And when I went there, they had a meeting, and I spoke to a lot of sisters and brothers that was there, and I explained the story pertaining to the exam, that we were having conflict with the exam results. That is why I didn't go to work, and they started bombasting me with questions. They started embarrassing me, victimizing me, and telling me that I shouldn't come back to work, that I'm no longer needed here, that I should leave the premises, and I was thrown out, and that I should go to the school and let the principal tutor know what is going on, because they don't want to see me on the premises. So I went to the principal tutor, and she told me that she cannot do anything for me. There is nothing that she can do because I exceeded more than 7 days from not working, and I'm still a student, so she cannot do anything. So I went to the ministry, and they told me the same thing, that they cannot do anything for me. I'm still to speak to Mr. Ben about the issue, because he was not there when I was...
And Mr. Ben is?
He is the Director of Health Sciences.
Wow, and this happened recently?
It happened yesterday.
Unbelievable.
So when we received the letter stating that we had to write back the examination, a group of my colleagues and I, we dispersed to the various schools in order to create a committee. So myself and some of my colleagues went to the Charles Rosa Nursing School, which is at Linden, and we were greeted by the principal tutor at the, I can't say at the gate, but he was close to the gate, but in the compound. He had told us that he was told to lock the gate, which is lock us out because we were going there illegally. But he still spoke to us, gave us a listening ear, some advice. And while speaking to us, we got to communicate at set time with some of the students who gathered around. Some of my colleagues that went to Berbice, they were treated harshly. Whereas they were actually put out of the compound. The gate was locked, and the principal tutor told them that they should leave.
To prevent them from organizing with other students
yes.
to get the resolution to this problem.
Yes.
Because it's affecting nurses in this batch countrywide.
Countrywide, yeah. So they were hollered on, put out, told that they should not have been there because they were there illegally, because the principal tutor of the Georgetown School of Nursing knew nothing about them going up there.
Wow. And what has been the outcome of that? Have you been able to put together a group of students?
We have namely 3 persons only from the Berbice, from the New Amsterdam School of Nursing.
Do you think the students there are fearful of repercussions if
they were threatened? That is what we were told. They were threatened. So when we try calling them or reaching out to them, they're either telling us they don't want a part of this anymore. If they have to resit, then they will resit.